Good morning and welcome to today's webinar on coping with the holidays. My name is Krista Mostowski. I'm with Community Hospice. I'd like to welcome you to today's presentation that is put on by both Community Hospice as well as Sutter Health through their Caring for the Caregiver program. We'd like to welcome you today and encourage you to ask any questions throughout the program. If you do have questions, please enter them into the chat box that's located at the bottom of your screen. There should be some options there for a Q&A or a chat box. I will be monitoring those questions and we will address those at the end of the presentation today. I'd like to welcome our speaker. Our speaker today is Miss Carol Schaefer. Carol Schaefer works in our Grief Support Services Department and is honored to be here today to present on coping with the holidays. So at this time, I'd like to pass it over to her. Just a reminder, please, we invite you to ask any questions that you may have. We look forward to answering those for you. And at the end of the presentation, we will email you a link to our next topic, as well as post a recording of this on our website, which is hospiceheart.org. At this time, Carol, thank you for joining us, and I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. So let me see, everybody. Bear with me. I started the video, and am I supposed to be able to see myself? I can see myself right there. Okay, so coping with the holidays, and we're coping with the holidays in many ways, especially with Zoom. Again, my name is Carol Schaefer, and I am a licensed marriage family therapist, as well as a grief support counselor here at Community Hospice, and I am really excited to be able to share information with everyone, and this is very new to me, doing it this way. I really miss being with everyone in the room. So I think that we are all coping with the holidays, but we're also coping with 2020. And one of the things that I did with the PowerPoint is that I was asked by Kristen, who is brilliant, by the way, is to change the PowerPoint in a way that is, you know, that I would want to make changes from the person who did it last year, Sue Garcia. And I was looking at it and I thought, you know what, I'm symbolically going to just leave it the way it is, because I think that it really shows what difference 1 year can make. And everyone probably feels that normally in a normal life, but 2020 has been unprecedented for most of us in all generations really on Earth and in our country. So I just wanted to preface that. So what I'm going to do is go through the PowerPoints, and instead of usually when I do questions, as I go through the PowerPoint, we are, like Kristen said, going to wait until the very end, and then I will be happy to answer any questions or comments. Okay, so again, we're going to start for some caregivers. The holidays can be a joyful time when spirits are lighter, but it feels good to care for loved ones and enjoy that time together and celebrating family traditions. And the other thing, though, with caregivers is that we are really, really good at taking care of everybody but ourselves. And so that's kind of what this is all about, is making sure that we care for ourselves, and instead of trying to care for everyone else and putting ourselves over the edge. Because when our jar is empty, we can't give to anybody, can we? Okay, so let's see. I'm trying to think. I'm doing the PowerPoints, and bear with me, folks. Okay, so I have slide 2. I'm on slide 2. So focus on what is meaningful. So perfection is not the goal of the holidays, meaning, joy. And I think right now for the holidays, perfection is definitely not going to be something that we can be focusing on, because most holidays are going to be difficult as far as getting together with everybody. And so a lot of us are going to be doing maybe even a Zoom holiday with folks, and activities that hold a lot of really deep meaning and traditions aren't going to, for a lot of people, be available for us. And so focusing really on what's necessary. And I think one of those things is creating a space for yourself to have good memories. And what I call that, and what researchers call that, are habits of the heart. And instead of really grieving the loss of being maybe with your family, it's more of reframing it into habits of the heart. I really like that, because it's a way of looking at it in a positive way. Okay, so I'm going to skip that because I just went over it. Okay, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. So that is very much what we call black and white thinking. We don't have to go all out, and most of us aren't going to be going all out because of the current situation. And so that means simplifying your decorations, and really selecting decorations that are most meaningful to you. And I think one of the things, at least for, let's say, the Christmas holiday, if you do celebrate that, is ornaments are really special, because they bring back a lot of memories. And that's something that is fun to do. And also with religious services, most churches right now are not, sorry about that, that's IT. So let's see, religious, a lot of churches right now are doing Zoom, because it is very dangerous time right now for us to be in small spaces. And I think that on some level, it's kind of nice and cozy. I know that when I go to one of my church meetings on Zoom, I can still see all of the people there, but it is going to be very different for people. And then there's some religions have lots of different services, and so again, just choosing the ones that really you have time for, that you don't have to go to every single one, that you can have just the most meaningful ones for you at this time. Okay, so this one I thought was really interesting, because this has definitely changed. And adjust the location of celebrations or postpone holiday travel. Well, we're not going to really have a whole lot of holiday travel, but maybe we will. I think that probably we won't see as many people on the road, and airlines probably won't be as full or going full speed. And it's just about where we're at right now. But really what that is too, when you're a caregiver, you don't want to overextend yourself, because again, just for let's say 2019, just a year ago, because you probably are the person who does most of the things in your family, it's going to be even more stress and strain on you right now to be doing any kind of extensive travel. And so the next thing is choose which events to attend based on what's simplest, least exhausting, and most enjoyable. because the holidays are about joy and about celebrating memories and good, warm, fuzzy feelings, right? And sometimes that's going to be really difficult during this time. But, you know, I really think that we will come out on the other side and things will get better. They always do. So I'm being cautiously optimistic that we will be hopefully with our families next year. And at that time, we can just talk about what kind of year 2020 was. Let's hope that happens. So starting new traditions, and I think this is really, again, perfect for this year, is that starting new traditions is going to be essential. And whether that be meals, less food preparation, as again, like I said earlier, some sort of Zoom or FaceTime with your family. It can be really still a very joyful time. And I think the other thing that I want to say about that is we're definitely not alone, that everybody is going through this. And to remember that all of us in, the United States and all over the world are going through having to cope and change with grief and loss, not only in coping with new changes, but it is also grief and loss that we have to lose the traditional stuff this year and rearrange to make our lives still joyful. And so I think I just spoke about this, adjusting our meals, because of course meals Thanksgiving is like the best reason for going to grandma's house or your aunt's house or your mother's house or your father or whoever does that, who has the big meal. And I think that there's so many things out there right now because of the circumstances of COVID-19 and in 2020, is that there are more options out there, and that restaurants and grocery stores and even DoorDash and all of those online places are making things more easy and available to us. And that is something to really consider, or just having, making your meals smaller, because it may just be a very small group of us at the dinner table. So this one I really like, is approaching gift giving more effectively. So a lot of times we get too involved about materials, as far as, the most expensive gift, or I have to give them to show our love, that somehow is symbolic of how much we love somebody. And really what it is keeping it simple and keeping it, in my family, for instance, we only give the children gifts, because the adults, we pretty much kind of can go without and have and we don't even remember what the other family member gave us the last year. So we have just kind of condensed it just to the children. Shopping online is definitely a trend right now. And I do want to say as well that because of this past year, that shopping online has become such a huge part of our culture, even more so, that you have to be also careful with that. Because I know that when I shop online, it says, hey, Carol, you really like that pair of shoes. Why don't we try some of these? And it's very seductive that I want to go buy those, I don't even want to say how much pair of shoes, but so be very cognizant of how much you're spending online, because they will be wanting you to spend. And I think right now that it's very important to just focus on love and joy and memories and being in this all together. if you do have wrapping to do and you don't have time, then there's always somebody. We've got a lot of volunteers here that wrap amazingly. So you can do that, or, you know, even use like newspaper or something very simple and less expensive. Um, and like I said, lower your gift giving budget and be mindful of online shopping, even though it's very easy, and especially during this time, but it can add up. And then the other thing that I really like is doing something, if you are a creative person, just writing a letter, doing something very meaningful. Um, so that can be just as, if not more, special than a very expensive gift, because I think, again, it comes from the heart. So anticipating holiday hot buttons. And I always use that with, I mean, this has been a big year. And I was, you know, just a while ago, we had a full moon, Halloween, daylight savings time or fall forward, and an election. So there's been just so much going on, and in the midst of the pandemic. So it's been a really, really heated year. And so there's always some political stuff going on in families, and again, triggers that can be really difficult. So usually what I tell my clients when I see them is to have some sort of plan. And that means, okay, so if Uncle Freddie is drinking too much and getting really loud, then maybe I can go to the bathroom and just kind of hang out and take 3 deep breaths, or go outside and get some fresh air. And the other thing is that we may not need to go to families' homes because it's just not maybe safe. And so that can even be, I mean, I don't really, I think I'm just going to say it, it might be just easier. So, and it's an honest thing that we are in the middle of a time that is unprecedented. And so if we want to stay home, I just want to say it's a legitimate excuse. As interesting as that may sound, but it really is. Again, limiting your exposure to places, events, and conversations or people. And I think we're already have been doing that and getting used to that. You know, and just kind of choosing your battles basically, and let negative energy just bounce off without hurting or annoying or distressing you. Limit your exposure. I just had that one, so we're gonna move on. Mind your mindset. So staying mindful, being in the moment, concentrating on what is, and think about what you can accomplish instead of what is getting done. So I think we always, even, you know, with this presentation, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this and this, and I'm probably not even saying half of the things that I wanted to say. So I think it's just being in the moment, doing the best you can, and it's not the end of the universe that something doesn't go correct. Celebrate that your loved ones, celebrate what your loved on can do, rather than dwelling on what no longer you can participate in. And that didn't come out correctly, but I think what it's saying is to, and especially this year, is to really just celebrate on the moment, and we're all in this together, and what you need to be just kind of in this space. And some of us, there really isn't a choice, and to be okay with that, and to know that it will, hopefully, again, cautiously optimistic, that it won't be like this for very much longer, and that we can not dwell on just, whoa, this is so horrible, I can't see these people. And I will say that it is difficult, though, because a lot of us are dealing with that. That my father is in a is a Samaritan home right now, and I have not seen him since January, because he does have coexisting difficulties. So there are some family members that we're not able to see as much, and that can be very difficult. So I don't want to say that, but I think being in the moment and knowing that I will see him soon is what I have to concentrate on. Appreciate the help that you are receiving instead of resenting those who are not supportive. Resentment just eats us up inside, and it's really not healthy. And I think I've talked about in the past about just how our stress hormones can flood us and make us feel overwhelmed, and we're not thinking with our prefrontal cortex. We're thinking in kind of a reptilian brain, if you want to get scientific. So just being in the moment, taking lots of deep breaths, and eating some yummy food that makes you feel good. Keep self-care at the top of the list. And I think this is for any year, not just this year, but this year especially. But I think as caregivers, again, we are excellent at taking care of other people and not ourselves. And we tend to avoid that. And then we don't have any energy. And that's where resentment can set in as well, when we are too focused on other people and not our own care. Find ways to take care of yourself. So get plenty of sleep. Walk, I wouldn't go to the mall, but I wouldn't go to the mall any year, but walk with loved ones. I love taking walks outside, and just relax and take your time. Make sure that you can even sit down between, if you're making a meal or doing things, just give yourself some rest and sit down or take, I'm really big on taking walks outside right now, especially now that the air is a lot cleaner. Connect with other caregivers, which is what a lot of the folks that I know, et cetera, do, which is, that universality of, I know exactly what you're going through. Ask family members and friends to help with holiday prep. If you do have a meal with someone, have someone bring different dishes, and get support from community resources. And this is what I found interesting, is that adult care centers and in-home facilities are really not able to help us this year. And so a way of finding different resources. You'll be happier if you can go with the flow and expect that there will be some delays, a crisis or two, and maybe a few disappointments. And that really is everyday life. It's been even more so this year, but I think that life is really ebbs and tides, up and downs, hills and valleys, all of those metaphors. And that if something goes wrong, it's going to be okay. And to remember that. And I know that's what my mom always says, it's going to be okay. And that always just makes me feel better. And that just seems so kind of silly and simple, but just, keep it simple. And you'll get through it. Time is precious, and savor the moments with your loved ones and make good memories you can cherish. And I think a lot of us will have to try to make good memories this year instead of dwelling on all of the different things that are happening in our world. And holidays are a time of remembering, a time of celebration, and the best is a time of gratitude. Gratitude, I tell my clients all the time, even when it seems like you are grateful for nothing, is to make a gratitude list. Even if it's, I've used this one, but I really like it, is that I'm really grateful that the microwave cooks my food fast. If it's something simple like that. And what I tell people is to wake up in the morning and list 5 things that you're grateful for. Whatever that is. It can be, I had one 14-year-old teen, and I love this one, who was grateful for the color yellow. And I just thought that was awesome. So it doesn't have to be these like really, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's whatever you feel, and it's about you. And that's about caring for yourself. Wow. So we are open to questions and answers. Again, this is very interesting because I just kind of blew through that. And so I hope that people do have questions and comments, and I would love to hear them and be open to answering or elaborating on anything that I just said. So,
Thank you, Carol. Can you hear me
yes.
okay? Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go through, there have been some comments throughout the presentation. First of all, thank you so much for that great insight and those resources. I know that the holidays can be difficult for many, and I think you highlighted some really important tips here. So let's see here. To get started, one person said, just, hi, Carol, I've been missing you. It's nice to have you here in person.
Oh.
So that's great. We have somebody that's been with us before. We have another comment that just said, so sorry, Carol, you cannot see your father. It must be difficult.
Thank you.
And then we have, I put in a request and I said if any of our participants had any suggestions for coping with the holidays, I encouraged them to type them in so that we could share them with everybody. And so we had a participant that said, thank you so much for reminding us and giving us permission. I think that's really important, but
Yes.
giving us permission to make choices, as well as that her favorite advice that you shared today was to make new memories.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Because I think that, and there's always new memories with holidays and new traditions. And I think all of us are going to, we have to tap into our creative minds, and some of us are more creative than others. But, for my family, I know one of our traditions that we started a while ago, kind of when the older folks we lost and grandmas and grandpas weren't around anymore, that we get Chinese food one of the days. And so just something like that, because it's going to be definitely a holiday season that we will not forget. And so I think that just tapping into our creative selves, and even if that's just about a self-care holiday, something like that, and to remember to give yourselves permission to care for yourselves as well as others.
Thank you. We had another participant that said, thank you so much, Carol. I love that we should find something to be grateful for, even if it's the color yellow. That's a great reminder.
Mm-hmm.
That's really wonderful.
Yes. And, because a lot of people, I think, again, get too wrapped up in like, I am grateful that they want to make it a very perfect thing, because as caregivers, we want everything to be perfect and everyone to be well served. And so I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for food. I'm grateful for shelter, for clothing. But those are kind of like the basic needs that we all have. But to kind of go beyond the box, right? And look outside of that. Like when I take my walks to get some fresh air, the one thing that I do like about Modesto is there are a lot of beautiful trees and fall colors. And we've got these amazing smartphones that we can just take pictures of anything. And, or even if it's just out in the backyard and sitting in your backyard or front yard and taking pictures of that. Those kinds of things, yes.
Great. And a couple of additional comments.
Mm-hmm.
Someone said, remember the importance of staying connected with those you can see in person, either by FaceTime or Zoom, going through old photographs from a holiday past, and that really inspires joy. And the next comment was to include the person you care for in on the prep. So both of you are included in that process.
Absolutely. I love that one, because when somebody is needing, who is losing, let's say, their abilities in some way, and we're caring for them, we all want to be needed. We all want to be able to participate and not just sit in a corner. And so that is an excellent comment. I love that one. And absolutely, I remember the last Thanksgiving we had with my grandmother, who actually today is 1 year that she's been gone. And she still made the turkey, and it was much smaller, but we still let her make that because she really wanted to. And then we brought all the rest of the stuff, and it really made her feel good, though, that she could have it at her home. So yes.
And then one of my favorite comments on here is just schedule fun.
Yay. Yeah. Who doesn't want to have fun, right? And again, we can be creative and we can have fun, and its own, I think that really, and research shows this, and people who know me know this, is that I am try to find humor in everything. And that having fun and humor, even in our darkest times, can be the most healing thing. And it's a defense mechanism, as they call it in Freudian terms, but it is very healthy to just kind of laugh things off. And that also includes some things like if you drop the dish of food and it falls all over the floor, you're going to want to cry and you're going to want to laugh, and hopefully you'll laugh at it instead of cry, because you can always make it the next day.
That's right. And another comment, while we're all home, baked goods can make wonderful gifts for family and friends. Who doesn't like those great baked goods, fudge and all the holiday cookies, all the yumminess.
And I think that also can be part of memories, like if somebody in the family used to make that and they're no longer with us, or they're no longer able to do it. Again, like that person can sit and tell you how to make it. And if they can't actually move their hands or stand up, and then you can do all of the recipes and do that kind of work as they tell you what to do.
Mm-hmm. Here's another great suggestion. I love all these suggestions from our participants. So I'm a photo person, and one of my favorite gifts has been to give a digital photo frame loaded with photos for that person.
Yes.
Great idea.
There's a really good, I'm just going to throw this out here. There's a really good, I didn't believe it, but it is true. A client of mine told me about what's called free prints. And it's an application, and you really do get free prints, a lot of them. And then it's very affordable, and you can make canvases and all different kinds of things with photos. So I just want to I don't get any money for saying that. I just want to say, but I'm just going to plug that. It's called Free Prints.
Awesome. Thank you for that resource. Are there any other questions from our participants? Carol, can I ask you to change your slide over one more time for me?
Yeah.
All right. So our next presentation is, you might want to go back one just for me. Our next presentation for caring for the caregiver is managing stress by lessening stress of others. So how can we manage our own stress as well as help others? And so we're very excited for this. Our presentation will be on December the 10th, same time at 11 o'clock. You can register at the link provided here. We'll also be sharing it through social media, and make sure that we send that link out to you when we send out a recap of today, as well as a link to today's presentation. I also wanted to invite you to Community Hospice has a presentation. Carol is actually presenting this coming Saturday, the 14th, at 10 o'clock. It is our Coping with the Holidays, and it will be a little bit different than today's presentation, as it's geared more towards grief loss. So losing somebody close to you, and how to cope during the holidays while memorializing your loved one. So I invite you guys all to join us for that presentation as well, if it's something that might interest you. If there's no further questions, Carol, I just would like to thank you for participating today and sharing your resources and knowledge with us. We really appreciate it, and we wish everybody well. Please continue to wear your masks out in the community to stay safe, wash your hands, use hand sanitizer, and if you're not feeling well, contact your doctor and get the assistance that you need. At that note, we will end our presentation. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.